And sure, because it was dynamic RAM, it was a little stupid. I had to design a bunch of circuitry to keep it remembering its data. That took a few more chips, but I still wound up saving so many chips. And I had everything, the computer and the dynamic memory. And I said, you know what? I've already got this video terminal. I'm not going to design a computer from scratch. I've got a video terminal. I can type on a keyboard to a computer in Boston. The computer can talk back to my television. What I'll do is cut out Boston and put my little computer, a microprocessor, a RAM, right there on the board, and I can type to my own computer, and my own computer can type to the TV set. And why doesn't anyone do it this way? Well, nobody thought of something, but it was suggested to me by our Hewlett-Packard calculators. The calculator, when it started up, actually had a little processor inside. I designed them. And it started running a program, and the program said, is a key being pressed? And when you pressed a key, it said, aha, a key got pressed. I see it's the 5 key. I'll put a 5 in the display. And then the program goes back and it says, is a key being pressed? So I said, what if I write a simple little short program? 256 bytes was all I could afford. It took 2 chips to store that small a program. 256 bytes to simply watch to see what you were typing on the keyboard and let you type data into memory, view what was in memory on your TV, or run a program. The main 3 things. So that was my choice, and I designed it very, very quickly. Got it working late one night in the lab. I finally was typing data and seeing it on the TV set, and I was so excited. I had the computer I wanted my whole life. I had a computer that I no longer had to use the company computer for once I had a programming language. So I took my computer down to the Homebrew Computer Club, and I showed it off. I put it on a table next to a TV set, and people came up and started asking questions about the chips, and I could talk to them that way. And I would tell them what was in it, and I would type things on the keyboard, and I would type a little program into memory, and things would start printing letters across the TV set. And I wanted to help everyone in the club get their own computer, like I have now. So I passed out my designs, my schematics, and my code listings for free. I said, take it, build your own. There was no idea to make money off of this thing. I wanted to help the world get to the place where everyone someday would have their own affordable computer. Steve Jobs didn't, well, he didn't come to the Homebrew Computer Club when it started, but it started coming when he heard that people were interested in my design. And then he said, Steve, why don't we start a company of our own, and we'll sell PC boards. We'll make PC boards for 20 bucks, and we'll sell them for 40. And maybe we'll invest a few $100 each, and I thought we're going to have to sell 50 of these to get our money back. And he said, well, maybe we won't get our money back, but the 2 of us will have our own company for once in our life. And who could turn that down? So I said, okay, but first I have to get approval from Hewlett-Packard, because I'm not leaving Hewlett-Packard, and I love them, and I don't want them upset at something I'm doing on the side. So I went to Hewlett-Packard. I met with my boss, and his boss, the lab manager, and they had all these Hewlett-Packard reasons that they couldn't build the computer, and they couldn't do this project, and they knew that it was interesting, and it was intriguing, and that they should be doing it, but they couldn't do it as a Hewlett-Packard product, so they turned me down for the first of 5 times. And Steve and I started the company. We had a partner, Ron Wayne. He owned 10% of Apple, and one day Steve Jobs called me, and he said, are you sitting down? And we had each come up with a few $100s to start this company. He said, I got a $50,000 order. Whew, you know, that's maybe $500,000 in today's dollars. This was a shock. It was more than twice my annual salary as an engineer at Hewlett-Packard. So it turns out that the local computer company, the local computer store, had seen me at the club demonstrating this computer, and they wanted to buy 100 of them for $500 each. Whoa, $50,000. I went back to Hewlett-Packard. I called their legal department. I had them search every Hewlett-Packard division. I wanted to do this project in Hewlett-Packard, but they turned me down again. And the nature of the computer market back then, stores were starting up in various cities across the United States. So the stores didn't have existing customers. They didn't have shelf space already allocated to this rep or this distributor or this company's products. They were just had empty shelf space. It was individuals. One person would start a computer store and start calling the computer companies and trying to get some of their computers. So we had all these dealer forms. We were like more professional than all these other little two-person companies, that were kind of like Steve and myself. And so we would ship computers across the country. Steve ran the business. We talk about a garage. They say we started in a garage, and it's really based on the fact that Hewlett-Packard started in a garage, and that was a well-known story in Silicon Valley, and so we kind of like used the same flavor. Now we did use a garage, but all of the computer designs were done in my cubicle at Hewlett-Packard or in my apartment, and all of the business was run by Steve Jobs in his bedroom where he had a phone. And he would call accountants, he would call stores that wanted to buy our product across the country. He would call the parts suppliers and arrange for parts. He would call the magazines and get publicity. And then out in the garage, what we did was we got the computers. They were actually built in Santa Clara. And we would drive them to the garage, put them on a bench, and test them. And then we'd put them in a box and drive them to the computer store and get paid. And the way Steve worked it was amazing. We got 30 days credit on the parts when they were built in Santa Clara. We could cycle them and get paid cash at the computer store in 10 days. So we had 30 days credit, and we did it in 10 days. We built and sold them. And the garage was sort of just a stopping point on the end, but it was close to our hearts. It was the place where we showed off our computers. And so it's memorable, but it's not like we really had a company in the garage. When we started shipping this product, the Apple I computer, and getting a little bit of note for it, it was kind of neat that people were hearing this name of the company. We started, in the list of all the little hobby computer companies, we were always #1. And we were the only ones that were building a complete computer that you could actually write a program on a keyboard the day you got it. And one of the things is, once I finished the computer, I said, there's no language for it. Nobody can type any programs in it. There's no language for this computer. And I said, I'm going to have to write my own. And Bill Gates had come out with a BASIC for the Intel microprocessors. Bill Gates' name was known in our club. And I thought, wow, this guy got famous for being the first one to write a BASIC. So why don't I be the first one to write a BASIC for my processor, my computer? And although I had never taken a class in writing computer languages, when you have to do it, you have to do it. So I sat down and worked out all the structure for a very structured computer language, and I wrote a BASIC. I had never programmed BASIC in my life either. I had to learn the language just to write it. But I knew that that was the right language to do for these little computers that were going to interest people who could type in games written in BASIC. And so I had written my own computer language, and I was kind of proud of that. And within 3 months, I had designed another computer. I had never designed, the Apple I was just take my terminal that I could talk to a computer in Boston, put a quick little microprocessor here, but the computer still worked at the speed of slow modems. I said, why don't I design a modern computer the best I can? And I sat down with my color ideas. And I started out designing this circuit that would output signals that might or might not show up as color on a United States television. And then I had it drive the RAMs, and I came up with clever ideas, and I got 5 timing chips down to 2 with a clever approach called a state machine. And then I thought and searched every manual for weeks, and I finally found a chip that if I hooked it up a certain way, I got it down to 1 1/4 chip to put out all the timing signals for dynamic RAMs. And I worked on this, and I came out to half as many chips as the Apple I, 10 times the computer. Nobody would have ever expected back in that year to ever see a personal computer with color. Everyone would have thought, this is just unbelievable, it's not even possible. No one would have expected graphics. I could type on the keyboard, I could type a byte into memory, and a blue spot would pop up on my TV set. I could type another number into memory, and a yellow spot would pop up. And instantly, anybody with a logical mind realizes if I write programs to move all these numbers around in memory, the whole screen becomes graphics, it becomes animation, it becomes cartoons. So I knew we were onto something really big when the color worked out. That was the big eureka moment. Steve Jobs came over, and we kept this product a little more secret, a little more hush-hush. Didn't pass out designs with no copyright notices like with the Apple I. And yeah, the Apple I was passed out. Our company started on a product that was given away for free without any copyright protection at all. So now we had the Apple II, and it looked really big. We figured we'd probably sell 1,000 a month because the hottest selling Intel computer, after the Apple I came out with a keyboard, Every computer in history from then on was